Bienvenidos a Disrupt Everything, podcast series by Isra García. Reinvéntate a ti mismo y cambia lo que más te importa.
Hi everyone, this is Isra Garcia, and I'm talking in English, well, rusty English, I would say. It means that today we have an international guest, a very special guest, really inspiring for me as I'm getting to know or start learning about Zen practice and philosophy as a way of life, which really and deeply touched me since I interviewed Zen Master Soeng Hyang. So today, in Disrupt Everything podcast series, we have Soeng Hyang, known as Barbara Rhodes, Zen Master Soeng Hyang, with us in Disrupt Everything podcast series. Welcome, Barbara.
Thank you.
Thank you for being in the podcast, and for all of you that is not the first time, or maybe it's the first time. Disrupt Everything podcast series is a podcast about disrupting everything. But disrupting everything doesn't mean only with technology, but also with human technology, with human design, with ancestral knowledge, with practical wisdom, with virtue, with the reinvention that every human being is gifted with. And today you have another podcast, and this time we're gonna go really deep on Zen practice with Zen Master Soeng Hyang. And bear with me because I try to get as better as I can with the names, and I'll do my best, and I apologize if I don't. So let's jump in. Let's go to the questions. Let's go to the interview, because today in the Disrupt Everything podcast series, we go with Zen Master Soeng Hyang on Zen philosophy, the tradition, online, disruption, and why this middle path is so important, and why we don't know, and what is this. You might don't know what it is, and you might don't know what is this, but you will in a few minutes.
Disrupt everything. Si no puedes pensar más grande, piensa más ridículo.
Who is Barbara Rhodes? Barbara Rhodes is Zen Master Soeng Hyang. She's the school Zen Master of Kwan Um School of Zen. She was one of the Zen Masters she was one of the students of the Zen Master Soeng Hyang in America, and studied with him beginning in 1972. Zen Master Soeng Hyang was given Inca, which means permission to teach, in 1977, and then received Dharma transmission from Zen Master Soeng Hyang on October 10th of 1982, 3 days after my birthday, to become a Zen Master. She is a registered nurse since 1969. She's a lifelong nurse in hospice care, and Zen Master Soeng Hyang she helped to found the Providence Zen Center in California, and lived there for 17 years, serving in a number of administrative capacities, and work really hard for the center. She's currently spreading the Kwan Um online Sangha, providing valuable Zen teaching to practitioners worldwide. Zen Master Soeng Hyang has a daughter and lives with her partner Mari in California. And today we're going to interview and talk with her about Zen, about the middle path, about we don't know, about what is this. And so my first question is just this. First, welcome Soeng Hyang, Barbara, and thank you for giving the time to participate in this podcast and spread the Zen teachings and spread wisdom and share with you your knowledge.
Thank you. I came because Zen Master Dave Bongsanim told me to. He said he enjoyed your interview and that you were a good representative of what you're doing. So I said, okay, I trust him too. If Dave Bongsanim trusts him, I trust him. So thank you for inviting me. Thank you for inviting me.
Barbara, what would you say? So my first question is, what is this? I saw you addressing this so many times. And what is this?
Yeah, you are asking me, what is this?
Yes.
That is, what is this? Always right in front of you.
So for people that want to know the power of this question, what would you say?
Well, I would say, when you mentioned the name of our school, the Kwan Um School of Zen, Kwan Um is a Korean word, and it means perceive sound. So Kwan means perceive, and means sound. So that is telling us that's telling us to perceive sound, to listen. So listening is the number one tool that everyone has to continue to develop till their death, from birth to death. Listening doesn't just mean with your ears, it's with your eyes, your nose, your tongue, your body. Your entire mind incorporates what is going on right now. So it seems obvious. Like, I think I could say that to any audience and say it's very important to listen clearly, to see clearly, to smell clearly, to perceive clearly, to integrate it all into our consciousness. So when you ask, what is this? That means that you are not assuming something. You're not deciding ahead of time what something is. Actually, in the moment, you're asking, what is this? So you could be maybe told, oh, you have to see this movie. It's a wonderful movie. I want you to see this movie. And it has very high ratings, all 5 stars. And so you say, okay, I was recommended this movie. So you go into the theater, you start watching the movie, and your clear mind is not what other people told you about the movie or that it has a very high rating. It's only, what is this? You're watching the movie. Maybe for you, it's not such a good movie. You don't like the quality, you don't like the subject matter, you don't like the actors, you don't like the music. So you can get up and walk out. You don't have to worry about what someone else said about the movie. You don't want to watch it. So you are free to come or go as you like. What is appropriate? What is this? I would rather spend my time out of this movie doing something else. So you can leave the movie. You don't have to be pushed around by other people's opinions. So that's very important. So even though we call this Zen, and that we try to become one with universal energy, we try to become one with what's happening just now, we still have an ego. We still have a self. And everybody needs an ego, a healthy ego. So we call a healthy ego is when you believe in yourself, that you're questioning, you're open, you're honest, you're unopinionated, and you're just looking. And then you can believe in that. Believe in your eyes, your ears, your nose, your tongue, your body. So that what is this is integrating everything into an unassuming mind. You're not assuming anything. You're only questioning, looking, paying attention. And it's just like hand in glove. It's not difficult. It's not an extra burden to ask, what is this? It can become automatically part of your immediate consciousness. Is just to look at with an open, questioning mind. Is that helpful?
It is. Thank you.
Okay.
So
the easiest way to explain it, yeah.
Very descriptive and also illustrative for a lot of us. Thank you so much. Barbara, with such a devoted life, if you were about to put your life milestones in a timeline, what would it like, this timeline? What will be these milestones of your life?
You mean the most important events?
Exactly.
Oh, I've every day is a milestone, I think. I think the biggest thing for me was being born as a human being, and then beginning at a I don't remember before I was 4 years old, but I remember when I was 4, 5, 6 years old, always questioning, always asking, really, what is this? Wondering about why was I born? Before I was born, where did I come from? When I die, where do I go? And I was like I was a normal child. I had lots of friends. I had a good sense of humor. I had a good middle class life in the United States. But the usual, very, it's not such a happy family on some levels. A lot of alcohol in my family, and ups and downs, a lot of moving. So that gave me even a bigger question, because I'd move about every 2 years to a new school system, new friends, and that was a big challenge and very difficult. But the milestone in that would be my first realization was, everywhere you go, there you are. You don't. I was very shy. So I remember one time I was moving. We were in Wisconsin, and we were moving to Rhode Island, to the East Coast. And I said, now when I go to my new school, I'm going to act like I'm not shy. So because I don't like this person, so I'll bring a new person to the new places. Nobody knows me, so I can be different. But I realized I still brought that same child, that same girl to the next school system. I couldn't change like that just with an idea. And then I saw how some things, you go one place and you go to another place. One place they think this is really nice, this is what everybody does, this is the best. And you move to a new place, it's a different thing that everybody thinks is nice and is the best. So I learned how impermanent these likes and dislikes are, and how phony it really is. Like the certain clothes people wear, the certain ways people act. I realized it was all pretty phony, because it was always changing. So that was my first milestone, I think, is realizing how impermanent everything was, and really kind of phony. Like you talk about disrupting, and that was great to be disrupted by not getting stuck in the same town all my life and thinking this is the way it is. Because I kept seeing it's not the way it is. It's kept changing. So that was a big milestone. Do you want me to talk about a couple of more milestones?
Yes, please.
Taking psychedelics. When I was in my early 20s, like 21, 22, I finished college already. I was already a nurse, and I met some people, and they introduced me to psychedelics. It was like 1969.
Wow, psychedelics.
1970, yeah. LSD, marijuana, things like that. I was a hippie. I was just the right age that everybody was taking those things, and so I had a very good experience, and kind of saw the light, in a sense of seeing. You see everything is so perfectly complete, and I was able to see that. So after about a year of that, I started practicing yoga and Zen, because I realized I can't keep taking psychedelics, because it just makes you tired, and you can't hold on to your understanding with psychedelics. So that's when I moved into the actual meditation and yoga that I continue to do today, which is also mind expanding, but it's done from your natural power, your natural energy, rather than a chemical. But I respect my experiences with the psychedelics, and I always give them credit, because for me, I needed that. In the time and age that I lived in, President Nixon, we had a terrible government. We had no natural foods, all white bread, canned soup, and everything was pretty plastic. And all of a sudden, the hippie generation, the early 70s, the late 60s, is when all of the natural foods, natural farming, wind power, solar power, all these ideas came from this generation of quote unquote hippies. and people who wanted to help the earth and became more involved with nature. So I always want to tell people that without shame, that's how I first saw the Buddha, was on LSD. I saw the image of...
So first time you saw Buddha was on LSD?
Well, I actually saw a figure of the man, the Buddha Shakyamuni. Yeah, but I never saw Buddha before till I took LSD. And then it was pretty amazing. That's why I started reading about Buddhism. I went, well, I guess that's the message. So I did. When people ask me how did my practice start, that's how it started, with mind-altering medications. And I stopped it because it was just, I had enough, and moved on to actually meeting a teacher and meditating. So I guess my next great milestone was to meet Zen Master Soeng Hyang when I was 24 years old, and I stayed with him ever since then. Stayed in that system of teaching because I really like it. Yeah.
One of the questions it opened when you were talking about psychedelics is how do you see the role of psychedelics today in the world? I interviewed so many people in the podcast, and I'm curious to know what your experience and how do you see from your position right now as a Zen Master of the Kwan Um Zen School.
Well, I only know that I know myself, that it helped me a lot, but I had a certain karmic propensity, certain, I was always asking, what am I? Oh, even when I was a little kid. So when I took these psychedelics, I asked, what am I? What is this on the psychedelics? So I stayed grounded. I didn't have a negative experience. I stayed grounded, and I just kept asking and seeing things that I wasn't able to see before because my mind was altered with these chemicals. And I had a positive experience, but I don't know about other people. I know some people have a hard time and they have a negative experience. Something bad happens, or they become nervous or anxious or have a psychological breakdown. I don't know. So I wouldn't say as a teacher, I never tell someone, oh, I think you should take psychedelics, because that's not my position. I think each person has to know what their medicine is and how they can come to the light, how they can come to more wisdom. And that's each person's job. So I never recommend psychedelics to anyone, except that I tell them that I had a very positive experience with it. Does that make sense?
It really does.
Yeah, because somebody could go crazy on psychedelics too, if it's not the right time, the right place.
Yeah.
That's important.
I think
Nowadays,
setting is important.
What? The setting. Yeah. Nowadays, they have very good clinics, very good psychologists, very good methods of taking it in a safe place, taking it with a guide or whatever. If you want to lean towards that, but most of the people in the Kwan Um School did not take psychedelics. They were interested in Zen because they had a big question: what is the meaning of life? What's going on here? And they had some trust, some faith in Zen practice. So they came through their question. They came through what is this, and they didn't take psychedelics. So I'm not saying that's the only gate to go through. Okay. Yeah.
Zen Master Soeng Hyang. Soeng Hyang. Zen Master Soeng Hyang. What different types of koans are, or can you tell us about the different types of koans and how they work and how to apply them on a day-to-day basis?
Oh, well, that's too big of a question for this little podcast, I think, for now. But it would take an hour probably, and nobody would understand what I'm talking about. But there's a book. Zen Master Soeng Hyang wrote a book. It's called The 10 Gates. And also he wrote a book called The Compass of Zen. Those two books explain koan practice very well.
The 10 Gates, and the other one was, sorry?
The Compass of Zen.
The Compass of Zen, okay.
Those are two of his books. And the 10 Gates talks about the 10 basic kongens that we use in our school, in the Kwan Um School of Zen. And the 10 basic kongens are they're just different because they're all questions. They're all questions that are trying to break your dichotomous mind. You're this and that, right and wrong, good and bad, high and low, like it, don't like it. Instead of thinking that way, with Kwan Um practice, you have to what we first teach is to become one with primary point, which is before thinking. So when we ask a student a Kwan Um, before we expect them to answer any Kwan Um, no matter how easy it might be, they first have to mark the moment with just slapping their hands together like this, or they can hit the floor like this, but just mark the moment with physically before thinking. So that's an easy way to stop thinking, is just to be trained. Like, you hear the question first, before you think anything, just listen to the question, then mark the moment. So that's what we call primary point. So all of our Kwan Um practice starts with primary point, starts with the mind that's not thinking. So
It's powerful.
It's powerful, but it takes some training. So that's why it's kind of funny for me to explain it so quickly, because it takes training to learn how to not think before you hit. But, I always use this same metaphor, but all over the country, all over the world, if people are questioning, like maybe they lost their car keys, they don't know where they put them the night before, and they're they need to get in their car and go soon because they have appointments, they have responsibilities, so they don't want to be late. But they don't know where their car keys are. All over the world, people will just mark the moment. They'll just I don't know, is this going to be a video or just sound, or just a
Video and audio.
both? Okay, so they'll just go like this, or they'll go, they'll mark the moment. They just stop thinking, or they'll snap their fingers. But often people will just go like that. They stop thinking, and then they go, oh, I left it in my pants pocket from my walk last night. It comes from the bottom up. It comes from your intuition, your center, not from your head, not from your heart. It comes from down below, where you can just get rid of your nervousness, your I'm going to be late anxiety, and just only stop thinking, oh, that's where they are. Everybody already knows that in this whole world. That's primary point, before thinking. So these koans are like little tricks. They try to get you, they'll say this and that, and then you have to just see the middle, the bullseye, the point of the question. So if you look at, if you're interested in Kwan Um practice, you could just easily look it up and read some koans. But
Yes.
you have to have a teacher to.
I have.
I'll
Yeah.
show you.
I'm reading now this.
Yeah, who's that by?
10 Koans by James Ismail Ford.
Okay.
Yeah. And I wrote your suggestions, and I will share in the show notes and the links. Thank you so much. What is at the heart of the Kwan Um teaching? What's the heart of the Kwan Um teaching?
How may I help you? Because the result of any deep practice, whether it's Christian, Muslim, Jewish, it doesn't matter what the religion is. The heart of all of those is compassion. How may I help you? Any good practice, the result is altruism, compassion. If you're not starting to feel more altruistic, more compassionate, then your practice might be a little bit too self-centered. So Zen is never about samadhi, reaching a deep state and going to nirvana or something. It's not about that. It's how may I help you? What is this? And perceive the sound of the universe. Listen to what's going on. Lend a hand. So, yeah.
What are the concepts or lessons to keep in mind from your experience to live with serenity and compassion?
What are the concepts?
Or the lessons or the aspects that we have to take into account or to keep in mind to live in with serenity and compassion, because sometimes it's hard to know.
Well, You mentioned about disrupting everything, right? So you disrupt your I, my, me, disrupt your opinions, disrupt your likes and dislikes, disrupt your self-centered fears and greed. So the Buddha just simply taught that desire, anger, and ignorance is the root of suffering. If you let go of those unbalanced desires, unbalanced ignorance, unbalanced, fear, then you get to a more equanimity. So the term spiritual growth to me is kind of a funny term. You don't grow spiritually. What you do is you return to your original self. You come back to your original enlightenment, your original equanimity, which is always there. It's always there. So we don't grow. We come home to our true self. That's how I feel. So when we're off-centered, when we are angry or anxious or wanting a lot of stuff, and then we're off-centered. So we have to ask again, what is this? What am I? Where does this angst come from? Then just again, primary point, listen, don't think, be still. And then you come back to your true self. There's no growth there. You abandoned your true self. You walked away with your desire, with your confusion, with your humanness. So come back home. Come back home. That's what we have. I've always had a cat. We go through periods. Maybe our cat dies. We don't have a cat for about 6 months. And then we kind of go, we need to get a cat. Why? I mean, cats are killers. They're just, all cats are killers, and they're just they're cats. But I find them very good teachers as far as, as long as they are only killing a few bugs here and there or whatever, they come back home all the time. They're just in the moment. They have no expectations. They're just walking. When they're walking, they're walking. When they're eating, they're eating. When they're smelling, they're smelling. They don't have compassion, but they have this interesting, just like this quiet mind. So this is what we have to come back home to, is our job. A cat knows the cat's job, but human beings often don't know their own job. Find our job. We have to find our job and do it.
What's some of the things that really grabbed my attention when I did my first Zen retreat in the Kwan Um School in Spain, with also Barbara and all the family and which is there. Was the Heart Sutra. What's the fundamental role in life and in Zen? Because we see is in the center of everything. Or at least this was my perception.
The Heart Sutra? Is that what you said?
The Heart Sutra.
And so what's your question about the Heart
Sutra? What's its fundamental role in life and also in Zen philosophy and practice?
Well, your listeners don't know what the Heart Sutra is, right?
Some might, some not.
Yeah. Well, a couple of significant things that the Heart Sutra says is no eyes, no ears, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind. So then it says also there is no absence of that. So this says form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Yeah. So everything is in flux. Nothing is permanent. Also, it says no attainment with nothing to attain. And that's what I said about that. Take away spiritual growth and just come home. Don't try to grow. Just come back to what you already have, your true Buddha nature. So if you let go of form, let go of emptiness, then what? Then it says you attain Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. Well, if you translate, that's a Sanskrit term, Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. I think it's Sanskrit. And it means suchness. It means just this. Just this. So then that's not before, after, or present. It's just this. It's not good. It's not bad. It's
so powerful.
This. It's very powerful. So, with our elections, like the United States is going through a lot for the last few days with this election. And it's like I want what I want. Personally, I want my candidate, but I cannot, if I don't get that, then I don't get that. That's suchness. I have to live with. It's not good or bad. It is what it is. Just like the last 4 years in our country has been not what anybody expected. It's been, for most of us, for half of us at least, it's been really horrible. It's been a very bad 4 years. And yet, you can keep your sense of humor, you can keep your compassion, you can keep your devotion to being a kind person and just do your best. So this life, there's no permanence, we can't depend on that. So the Heart Sutra is all about that.
Why do we don't understand? Yeah, why we don't understand? Don't know. Because, by the way, I just got yesterday, just don't know.
Oh, nice.
I did it yesterday, and I was so synchronized because I said, oh, okay, but it was just, I just felt the need on, because I felt so relieved with just don't know. And why do you think people that doesn't understand don't know? Because when you say to anyone don't know, looks to you like if you were an ignorant, or with someone like, I think we have a problem with we don't know.
Okay. Let's just say that you're going to go see your doctor, okay? And your doctor is a very busy person. She has to see 15 people in 8 hours, and she's busy. And so what you want from your doctor is you want your doctor, even though she has to see one person after another, you want her to listen to you. You have maybe 20 minutes with her. You want her to see you, to smell you, to hear everything you have to say, to look at your skin tone, to look at your body weight, to hear the tone in your voice, to hear what you're saying, what are your symptoms, what is your concern. You want her to order the correct lab work. You can tell I'm a nurse. I think of these medical examples, but you want the correct diagnosis. You want the correct lab work. You want her to have heard you. So that's don't know. If she's in don't know, she will completely take in the physical exam. She will have compassion for you. She will hear everything you said. She will order and get you what you need. She'll have you come in again if she thinks it's necessary for you to come in again. So complete attentiveness, completely doing her job perfectly. That's if she's in don't know. She's not thinking about the previous patient. She's not thinking about what she has to do after work to pick up her children or to cook dinner or to pay her bills. None of that is in her mind for that 20 minutes when she's in the office with you. It's only you and her. So that's don't know. That's doing your don't know job. It's not special. And yet it's extremely special. But it's certainly not stupid. It's not knowing anything but what's going on in front of you right now. Okay?
Thank you for the clarification. No, thank you for the clarification.
Okay.
You were saying, sorry, I think I interrupted you.
Oh, no, I think I'm finished. I just think that people think don't know is some state of not knowing. It's not about not knowing. It's about not knowing anything that's not in the integrating with what you need to do right now. So your memory will, if you have don't know mind, it doesn't mean you don't have a memory, that you don't have a skill set, that you don't have preferences. It doesn't mean that you're a zombie or anything or a robot. It just means that you can integrate everything that you are, your vow and your direction, your humanness, into your activity in this moment without being distracted by likes and dislikes, impatience, desires, anger, opinions. Those things are what they get in the way. A person might come into her office, it smells really bad. The person doesn't have good hygiene, and it's a small office. Well, if she's a good doctor, she's not going to give that person any less. She's just going to listen to them, respect them, and take care of them, no matter what. So that's what being a clear don't know Buddha is. Okay.
So what is the about we all talk about Zen, but as I work with companies, I work with individuals, and everyone is how to Zen approach meditation. What's the link between just sitting and meditation?
Well, there's different techniques, and certain techniques are more therapeutic to some people, and other techniques are more therapeutic for other people. So for me, I always wanted to just question. I wanted to have a koan practice. I wanted a what is this practice? Because I read about it, and I also was that kind of a person. I was a person who was curious, questioned, and didn't want to settle for some idea that I had just self-manufactured. So this practice of breathing in, like we teach it for beginners, you breathe in clear mind, just the image of the sense of clear mind, and exhale twice as long, don't know. And don't know is a good thing to exhale, because it just is telling your consciousness, you have permission not to know. You could just be here and now and listen. So it's not telling you not to know, it's telling you you have permission to not know. So just breathe out those two words, don't know. There's no dogma. There's no image with don't know. You try to find don't know, it means nothing. So don't know is a great combination of two words, And as I have talked about earlier, it's not about being stupid. It's about not bringing in other thoughts into what's actually going on right now.
One of the things I want to ask you in this podcast is what's inside of the postrations, the power of the postrations, because I felt it in the Zen retreat. And I didn't know that it was so powerful, because it helps you to move and being there. So what is in for you in the postrations in Zen?
Well, it's more than one thing that's in it for me. The prostration is, I guess for the audience, you go down, you go down on your knees, and then you bend forward and touch your forehead to the ground with your palms facing up. And then you sit up again and stand up again. And then you go back down. So people have seen prostrations, I'm sure. There's certainly a different type of prostrations. But basically ours is just bending down, folding in like a child pose in yoga, touching the ground with your forehead, then getting back up, straight up, and then back down. So our basic training is to do 108 of those prostrations in the morning, and it takes about 13 minutes. We don't do them too fast, but you can easily do 108 prostrations in 13 minutes at a steady pace. And if you're doing it for the first time, you're not conditioned, but once you do them for a week or two, it's easy. That's not physically that difficult. I'm 72. I can still do 108 prostrations. It's just I don't do them in 13 minutes. I think it takes me about 18 minutes now, or maybe, I don't know. I don't want to time myself, but it's about 15 minutes now for me. But it doesn't matter how fast you do them. It's just that you get physical strength, you get endurance, physical endurance, and you also get these two wonderful things, humility and self-confidence. And the humility comes from that child pose, from putting your palms up towards the heavens, having your head on the ground, and just, I call it humility and gratefulness. I feel so grateful for the lessons that I'm receiving, and I feel the humility of working out my karmic confusion. Just like we call it repentance vows, but I don't like the word repentance. Can be interpreted in many ways, but it's rather than a repentance, I think of it really as humility and recognizing anything that I need to learn and or ask for forgiveness. It's not so psychological, but it's a very humble pose to be in the child pose with your head on the ground. And then you stand back up, and that's your full strength, your full ability to just see and hear and smell and be clear and get back up. So a lot about prostrations is going down and getting back up. So there's a wonderful thing in Zen, a saying that says, 7 times fall down, 8 times get up. So we make mistakes. We all of us, make mistakes. But the beauty of a good meditation practice is that you can see your mistake and you can fix it. As soon as you can fix it, try to fix it. As soon as you can apologize, apologize. See your mistake. Try not to do it again. But you're going to make mistakes. You're going to fall down. So the prostration is go down, go up, go down, go up. That is life, And we all know that we have our ups and our downs. But I love the prostration begins standing up and it ends standing up, And you physically get much stronger too. It's a wonderful practice. Yeah, so.
And what's the impact of the chants that we sing in the morning and we see before going to sleep?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's group act. You can chant by yourself, which it's a way of displacing your thinking. So my teacher made a joke once. We have mantras that we have some basic mantras that we recommend in our schools. Nothing special, but people have probably heard of Om Mani Padme Hum. That's a mantra. So you can, rather than thinking, you can go Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. We do Kwan Um Zen, Kwan Um Zen, Kwan Um Zen. And then one day he was saying, it doesn't matter what the mantra means. It doesn't matter what you say. It has to flow and displace your thoughts. So if you're 100% doing the mantra, then you're not thinking. So he said, actually Coca-Cola would be a very good mantra. Coca-Cola, 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 Coca-Cola. It's very good because it flows, So it was so funny, so it doesn't matter, it just, just displace your thinking. So some of us, we don't need to displace our thinking. We're in the now, don't know, we're doing what we need to do, we're being kind. We don't need to be doing a mantra in that moment, but there's other times when it's very, very helpful to start doing mantra and just try to get your energy back down to your belly. Bring your energy down with the mantra and with the chanting. So chanting is the same thing, and it's also together action. So singing together, if anybody's been in a choir or anything, there's people need to blend. People need to listen to the choir director. People need to use their ears and not just listen to your own sound, but to listen to the sound of others. And then again, when you're doing that, you're not thinking. You're paying attention to the chants. So it's like prostrations. It's like mantra practice, chanting. It all takes away your thinking so that you can just do that. So it's just a training ground,
This is one of the things that really grabbed my attention. I've done Vipassana. I've tried. My life is an experiment. And one of the things really hooked me when I did the Zen retreat is that you have so many techniques and so many tools for being present that you just can't, and this is how this articulated today. You chant, you do prostration, you chant, you meditate, you walk on meditation. So that's super rich.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. It's you can do it. And the other thing you can do it because I've been a student for so long that I've done solo retreats. I've done 300-day solo retreats in the woods. No electricity, no running water, just a cabin, just a well, an outhouse, kerosene lamp, candles, no power, and then the schedule is what I needed. I didn't need the electricity. I didn't need the running water. I needed the schedule and so I would get up at 4:30, do 400 bows. I had a really strict schedule on those retreats, and then do the chanting, and then do the sitting, and do the working, get my wood, get my water. And it just was so engaging that I couldn't freak out and go back home because I had to finish my schedule, So schedules are wonderful. Discipline can be very, very wonderful, Yeah.
What would you say if I ask you how to use Zen? How do you use Zen to lead a better life?
Well, that's what I just said about that doctor with her patient. You do your job 100%, whatever your vocation is. It could be anything. but do it 100%. Do it clearly. Do it well. If you need help, ask for help. If you want to give help, but be engaged. And that's what Zen is total engagement. And also, if you need to retreat, Zen is total retreat. You just go and back off if you need to. You listen to what you need to do. And that will make your life complete. Ask the questions you need to ask. Be honest, be real, be humble. And people love that. You see these people that are, certain people that are full of their egos, and they're just bullshitting, and people know they are. People know they're not being genuine. But if they would be genuine, people would trust them so much more. Be honest, be real. So Zen teaches you not to be ashamed of what you're actually experiencing. If you're experiencing fear, let people know you feel afraid. Let yourself know. Kick into a mantra. Lots of times I'll be walking and I automatically kick into doing gate, para, gate, bodhisvaha when I'm walking. It's another one of the mantras. I don't think I should do that. I just start doing that. And it takes away my small mind thinking. I'm worrying about my granddaughters, or worrying about my daughter, worrying about our politics, worrying about global warming. I don't need to worry about global warming. I need to do something about it. So that's the point. It's like when I start doing gate instead of thinking, then from my gut, from my belly, I can say, well, what are you going to do? Instead of thinking about it, what are you going to do? So, yeah, it applies all the time.
What would you say, what your rituals or what are the rituals or skills and or habits of a Zen master?
Same as anybody else. It's not Zen master. It's just someone who maybe can see their mistakes more quickly. Nobody is.
I like this description.
Yeah. If anybody who claims to be karmically cleansed or something, they have no karma. I don't believe that. They wouldn't even say I have no. Then already there's their karma right there. So it's just a matter of trying. Try. Keep getting back up every time you fall down. So that's my job. That's your job.
Do you have any sacred ritual or any habit that you cannot get rid of?
Habit? You mean, what do you mean? You said two different things.
Yeah, like a ritual or habit that you cannot get rid of.
Watching television.
Any program or any documentary or channel?
Oh, I just like good. I just like things that I learn from, but I like to be entertained without no commercial. I don't like commercial television, but I like a good documentary, a good Netflix series that when it's good, when it grabs you, and it's a good relaxation. It's just let someone entertain you. But I think that I watch more television than maybe. I watch it for a couple hours at night, but sometimes I think I watch it too much. So I don't know.
What's your?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, sorry. Go ahead. Apologies.
No, I think that I don't worry about my habits so much, because if I stay busy, then that's a good. My worst habit is staying too busy, I think. I don't have a lot of patience, so I like to move around and do things. And
they say that I always say, don't worry about being productive. Worry about being busy.
Yeah. You want to be busy. Don't be busy for busyness sake, but just so spend some time just stopping and just listening and just being with what you can. But for many of us, for me, I was a nurse, and I had a daughter, and I had the Zen Center to worry about, and so I was super busy, and I kind of like that. I like being busy. So
one of the questions I have, as you mentioned, you have your daughter, you live with your partner. One of the things that might grab the attention of a lot of listeners and also myself is, what's the integration, or how do you do what's the integration about with Zen, work, and family.
It's all the same thing. That's what, if you're asking what is this, then you find balance. You find your balance of what's most important in that moment. And, you know, when we sit and we ask, what is this? And we're just doing clear mind, don't know, or we're just doing a quiet mantra, or we're just being still and just being awake. Then again, from the bottom up, from your belly, something will appear. Like, it's very good because something appears from your meditation. Oh, I need to, like, maybe it's my mother's birthday next week, and I wasn't thinking about that, but I'm meditating, and all of a sudden it appears, don't forget about your mother next week. Well, that's great that came up. So it's, again, if you have a clear meditation, you will find your priorities very clearly. And if you miss a priority, that means you fell down, you get back up again. So, you know, a lot of people that are spiritual leaders, they might not have a very happy family life. Well, there's something wrong with that. There's something's out of balance. And so they have to see they're out of balance, and they have to come back to balance. So I think any good meditation will let you know when you're balanced and when you're not. And you can,
when do you know that you are meditating in a proper way, or where you are doing a correct meditation? When do you know? How do you know?
Well, if your meditation is kind of, my teacher used to, when I first met my teacher, I was meditating, you know, doing retreats with him, and he knew me. He didn't have a whole lot of students in the early 70s, and he said, you know, you don't do a lot of thinking, but you have dead thinking, DEAD, dead. And I would just be kind of like, duh, you know, I just would be kind of spaced out, you know, kind of spacey, but I wasn't really thinking. And so he said, your kind of karma, you need to do mantra. So we have this very long mantra. It's called the Dharani. And it takes, when we chant it, it takes almost 4 minutes to chant the Dharani, you know, and so to say that in your head is very difficult because it's easier to say it out loud. It goes on for 3 minutes like that, you know. But if you try to do that in your head, you really have to concentrate. So I started doing the Dharani when I do meditation, and that keeps me away from dead thinking, and I'm right there because I have to pay attention to the mantra. It's like a crutch. It's a tool. And I needed that, and now I don't do it as much as I used to, but you just have to find what you need, because you don't want to settle for a meditation that's flat, that you're just thinking about your grocery list and working on your lawn and what party you're going to go to next weekend, and that then you know your meditation is not correct. But it's so easy for that to slip in. So that's why the technique is very important, especially when you're a beginner, to do like clear mind, don't know, or do a mantra, you know.
So that would be your recommendation for starters, for people that start breathing in, clear mind, breathing out, just don't know.
Don't know. Yeah.
Wow.
And don't expect to know what don't know means. Don't worry about it. Just say don't know. Because when you say don't know to your mind, it's not thinking about anything. It has no content. It's not saying believe in God or be a good girl. It's just saying don't know, you know. So it's permission.
Without expectation.
So it's just don't know.
And no expectation, nothing.
Yeah. Don't know. Yeah.
What are the learnings from you being really involved on the Kwan Um online channel? What are the learnings? You've been involved on the online trainings and the learnings with the Kwan Um School, the online channel. Yeah. So, what are the learnings from teaching Zen through the online media? What are your learnings?
Well, it's really wonderful because I can't go on the airplane right now, and I haven't been into a live retreat since last March. So we have the Zoom, and the Zen centers are using Zoom to teach. They'll have a little sitting in their own private in their Dharma rooms, in their meditation rooms all over the country, and in the U.S. There's lots of places that they can go and sit with them virtually. And then the online Sangha is something we developed right before COVID. It was very wonderful because we started to gather people who weren't close to a Zen center. So my experience is that it's like talking to you right now. It's better than nothing. You know, it's alive to me enough. I'd rather be in the same room with you and talking to an audience because it's more alive. It's easier for the speaker, especially. I think it's easier for the audience, but this is better than nothing. So I've had good experiences with it. It's the same direction. It's the same vow. It's the same point. So I just keep doing it on Zoom instead. You know?
Do you have what anecdotes can you share with us from being a Zen master that you've lived in all these years? Any anecdote that comes to your mind?
I could tell you a story about one of my solo retreats. You know, because those solo retreats that I did. They'd be very intense because I was doing a lot of prostrations, a lot of chanting. And as I said, I had to gather my own wood and get my own water and, you know, no other people, always alone. And I always did it in the winter, so super cold. One time I was out walking, because I would always have a long walking meditation after lunch before I started my afternoon practice. And so I was on a long walk and I did this one after supper. I didn't have supper, but after my afternoon meditation, I went out to walk this. I just felt like it, and I went out, and it was in the forest. This cabin was in the forest, so there were certain paths. I would always just go on the path, but this day I saw something about, 20, let's say, 15 meters off the path. So I just went over. I said, I just want to, it was like a bunch of mushrooms or something. I wanted to go see this fungus on this log. So I said, okay, I'll go look at it. So I walked over and to see it. And then I went to go back to the path and I was lost. I didn't know how to get back. I got disoriented, physically disoriented. So, I had learned if you get lost in the woods, don't start walking in circles. Don't keep going this way, that way. Then you'll get more disoriented. But I started to do that because I was anxious. It was getting dark and it was really cold. And nobody knew where I was. I could die out there and probably be 3 weeks before anybody knew I wasn't there because nobody was checking in on me. It could be a month before and nobody would know I was out there. So I knew I was all alone and I was lost and it was getting dark. And so, but I remember, don't move, stop moving. So I just stood there and I closed my eyes and I had my mala in my hand. I had my beads. So it was funny because my energy was in my head. I wasn't doing my Zen practice. I was scared. And then I went, you're doing a Zen retreat. You have your beats. Do your mantra. Stop thinking and do your mantra. But it's really scary to do that sometimes. It's even though you think you have trust in your practice, it's scary to do don't know, So, but I did it. I stood there. I closed my eyes and I started doing my mantra, and my feet started moving. And it's so funny. I had my eyes closed and my feet just turned around a little bit and started walking. And I went, I just followed my feet. It was so funny. And I it was better than nothing. I didn't know where to go. So my feet are going. And before I knew it, I was back on the path. And so it was like being there is that radar, that wisdom, that intuition that you have, that you can reassess, you can return to it if you just stop thinking. So as soon as I did that, I went back to the path. I said, that's my best Dharma talk. That's my best example of how if you just stop thinking, you'll find your way. I literally found my way back home. And our practice will bring us back home. So we abandoned it. We abandoned our original home. So it's not about spiritual growth. It's about coming back home. Come back home to your Buddha nature. Okay?
What's the biggest struggle you faced?
Being a human being. I'm not being funny. It's just this age that we're in right now and seeing it's just so much suffering. We're so aware of so much suffering. We're having this election. I think the first day of our election, which was Tuesday, so Today's Thursday. I think on Tuesday I looked at the headlines and there was a big earthquake in Turkey and Greece. A lot of people died. Something happened in Turkey. And there was a tsunami and a big wave. A lot of homes were destroyed. A lot of people died. And I'm like, it's too much information, you know? It's like, it's so sad. And so I think that my biggest struggle is being all the information and all the confusion. And my biggest gift, if I say that's my biggest struggle, my biggest gift is don't know, is this practice, is this Sangha. People like you that are trying to help people wake up, you know, that's my biggest gift. So thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you for sharing with us. So it's just 3 questions to finish. And one of these questions is, what's the point?
Talking to you.
So yeah, addressing this subject, this question really got my attention. So, but is there a point? Should be a point?
Why are you interviewing me? What's the point?
I might ask, what's the point of this?
Why are you asking?
Just to know. I don't know.
Believe in yourself. The point is you're giving me an interview. I'm talking. I'm answering your questions. That's the point right now. There's no big point. It's not. There's no big point in the sky somewhere. The point is right now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What would you say if you were about to give unrequested or non-requested advice to someone? What would be your non-requested advice?
Only go straight. Don't know.
And last but not lastly, if you had like a big advertising, big billboard in New York, in California, in San Francisco, in Miami, in Madrid, in Barcelona, Paris, London, and they give you the chance to write a message in this billboard, what message would you write?
What is this?
Barbara, Zen Master Soeng Hyang, is anything else you want to add? Is anything else you want to share with us?
Don't believe in a podcast. You know, you have to believe in yourself. You have to, if something grabs you, if somebody says something that, oh, this seems important, then look into that. You know, nobody can help you but yourself. You have to find your questions. You have to find your path. You have to believe in yourself.
Where people can find you on the internet, or where people can look for your work, or
the Kwan Um School of Zen website. Yeah.
Okay, I will share the link in the show notes.
Okay, good.
Barbara, thank you for your time. Thank you for your wisdom, for your patience, and also for your understanding about my rusty English sometimes. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your Spanish, that I don't have any Spanish.
I hope to visit you in the Providence Center soon. I will for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Esto ha sido Disrupt Everything by Isla García. Encuentra el riesgo antes de que el riesgo te encuentre a ti.